Hello again. So thank you very much for your attention. So I'm an ecologist activist, but I'm also deputy mayor of a district in Paris, in the 3rd arrondissement. I'm going to emphasize on local solutions now, because the question, I believe, behind circular economy is how we can invent a new business model that respects the environment, but also create jobs and well-being for all. And I think it's a crucial question. And as it has been said, on a local level, we can sometimes find very good solutions. But for this, we also need the help of a bigger structure. And in this case, it's the Circular Economy Plan for Paris that has been drafted 2 years ago. It was a very large consultation process, non-profit organizations, businesses, citizens, etc. And then the city came with 5 priorities that you can see here: construction waste, reuse and repair, including waste reduction, of course, support for stakeholders, actors, let's say, public procurement, and sustainable consumption. All these items, we have been talking about it all day long, and I want to emphasize that I'm not I was very impressed by the examples that were exposed to us, and this is just, I'm just going to try to show you what we are trying to do in Paris, and it's still an ongoing process, and it's not going as well as it should. So we all have to learn from each other, and this is also very important why we're here, I think. So these are the first roadmap. The second one is currently worked on. So you can see the 5 themes, and then it was developed into different actions. Sorry. Building materials or waste reduction, repair, reuse. Repair, we are lacking of skills in terms of repairing objects. It has been lost. I believe that in India it's still strong, but really we have also to find new business models for repairing, because the cost of labor is high, and I think it's good that the cost of labor is high, but then we have to define sustainable systems. So you can see the different examples. So the city also decided to provide a home for a circular economy. So the House of the Canals can host seminars, eco-design workshops, markets around all these issues. The city also issues calls for projects. This is one of the examples around urban metabolism. So how can we call for initiatives to find innovative solutions and also work on administration exemplarity. It's a very important thing. As an elected member of a council, I spend a lot of time lecturing people, lecturing citizens of what they should do. But then I feel very ashamed when I realize that my own administration is not so, doesn't do so well. So it's, I think, to be convincing, you have to start by yourself. And then it's much more convincing for other people. So these are different examples of projects who got money from the city. Bio-waste collection in schools, or glass bottles deposit for microbreweries. I can see that in India now, microbrewery is really coming up. It's very good news, I'd say, on a personal level. But it's interesting also to see how we do with glass bottles and so on. Then I'll go through different very local examples, initiatives run by volunteers or inclusion organizations who help people who are very far from employment to go back to jobs. So you can borrow tools, you can also repair your toaster, and these are very popular, this repair cafe. People line up because you also have a kind of sentimental link sometimes with your coffee machine or your sewing machine. So, and then you have also, it's a very important process in which you feel empowered, because most of the times when you're in front of a machine, now in our urban lives, we don't know how to fix it. I come from a rural background, and where people know how to fix so many things. But as we live in cities, we have lost this capacity. So I think it's very important also for us to get these skills back. We have many reuse centers. This is an example of a kind of a thrift shop for artists and set designers. But all these reuse centers were regrouped under an umbrella organization which help them to find resources and help them into their development process. Because sometimes it can be very difficult, especially for reuse centers who work with people who are out of the social system, let's say. So you have to have a business model, but you also have to have social skills, and you have to help people to get back to health, and so on and so on. Okay, this is on a very different scale, another example. So how you can use the heat from data centers to heat up the water in a swimming pool. Maybe here it would be more for AC than for heating water, but so this is also working now, and it's quite interesting. Public procurement. What to do with used uniforms before they were thrown away. So now they're trying to mend them or then to recycle them. We also have a zero waste house, so the city is helping this fantastic organization. So it's like a shop, it's on a street, and there one can participate to workshops. For example, how to make solid shampoo or solid toothpaste, but where also you can buy sustainable items, let's say. Recyclerie, I was thinking of recyclerie, seeing the slide you were showing. It's a place where, of course, you can drop used objects, but also where you can buy, and with a strong urban agriculture component. So they're also producing compost, and then you can eat the eggs or the vegetables that are produced on site. The relocalization of economy is also a very strong point into the zero waste process. Then I'll make a special focus on food waste. So 3 examples. It's a big issue in France. I guess I saw some numbers. I was a bit surprised. I realized that it was quite also a big issue in India. So the city supports stores which sell by bulk. So you don't have all the plastic wrappings and so on. And also you buy only what you need. You're not going to buy 10 kilos and then throw away 4 kilos. An app, Too Good To Go. This app was developed with Parisian food incubator. So restaurants and bakeries, they publish their leftovers, on a day-to-day basis. And then you can buy them, you can book them through your app for a third of the price. And then you collect it in the evening. And it works very well, it's very popular. And when you don't have so much money, then you can also access to these kind of things. And then the alchemists, they do bio waste collection door-to-door with a bicycle. But they have also managed to set up a way how to compost much quickly. So in a smaller space, it's a Canadian process, so they can do it in a more efficient way within the city. Paris is very dense. There are many buildings, so it's not easy to get large spaces. And usually we're still doing it. We are sending our waste away to the suburbs, also to India and to China. But so it's very important also to relocate the waste management. So the city also is experimenting in 2 districts, the bio-waste collection door-to-door, buildings by buildings. We also distribute freely compost boxes with worms or without worms. It's very popular. 3 years from now, you would talk to citizens and say, are you going to dispose of your bio-waste inside your flat? And they would go, no, never. And now they're asking us for, like bio-waste, for compost boxes. So it's, and it has also a very social impact, because then if you have compost in your building, then you start to talk to your neighbors and so on. I'm sorry, after all this presentation, mine is very like local examples. And of course also awareness events. For example, disco soups and disco salads, where we gather discarded fruits and vegetables, and we cook them together, we cut them together, and we eat them together with music. In my district, we do this with the music is provided by cycles. So you have to cycle to provide the energy, the electricity, so the music will play. And then it's also a way to demonstrate that it can be actually fun to work for the planet. Ecology is not a punishment. It can really be fun. I think it's a big issue. Okay, so just as a conclusion, I'd say that today the circular economy in Paris is still developing. We still have major issues around fast fashion and plastic use, of course, as anywhere in the world. And as the initiatives grow on a bigger scale, I think we also have to be careful when major businesses take over. Sometimes the social dimension gets lost. This was a bit what you were saying about capital-intensive solutions, or also what the way speaker was saying. Okay, to have clean streets, it's very important, but the way we clean the streets and how we can provide jobs in the process, I think it's very, very important. We have to keep environmental and social solutions going hand to hand. Otherwise, we're not going to solve the challenges we face now. So, yeah, I think now we really need a real shift. Instead of competing for more growth and consumption, we really need to unite in sobriety, let's say, share more, cooperate more. And a French writer, François Mauriac, he said once, "What does it serve humanity to win the moon if we lose the earth?" And as everybody is, not everybody, unfortunately, but as more and more people are on the streets claiming, asking for action, for climate action, I believe that waste is really a strong part of the problem also. As people say on the streets, so let's change the system, not the climate. Thank you.